Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Happy Memorial Day. Will WC Review. Trying a different camera angle today. This is me, the beauty behind the voice. I'm going to try to make a collection video. As I said, I've wanted to do this for so long. It's going to be a long video. I'm probably going to say a lot. I'm going to stutter a lot. I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm not going to edit. I'm going to try to keep rolling. And if I forget the name of a couple of knives, forgive me in advance, okay? So I'm just going to try to start, and I'll go through, like, here's a knife that I have never shown anyone. This is something I've had for a long time. I don't even know the model of it, but it's a buck knife. It's got a rosewood handle. I've always loved this knife, and it's kind of a sheath knife, so it doesn't get carried a lot. But it's got a gut hook on it, and there is a name for it. I just can't think of it, but this is a beauty that doesn't get much carry, but it's got sentimental value. And my wife will tell you, I hang on to lots of things for sentimental reasons only. This, the name is written on the knife, but this was gifted to me by my buddy Scab. I do carry it. I love this knife. It's a Work Tough gear. For the life of me, I can't think of the name of it, so I'm just going to keep moving for time's sake. But thank you, Scab, and I hope, you guys who do stick around, you can obviously fast forward through these, but you'll finally get a chance to see my entire collection. I don't want to point the camera at my, I have a Pelican case full of knives that I'm going to go through, but I'm going to go through the ones that aren't in the case yet. And then over there, I have another big box. I mean, I think you guys can all understand that when you get into collecting, there's boxes of knives everywhere. But this is my primary collection where I keep all the big dogs and the bruisers and what I feel that is most important to me and that I like to handle and carry on a regular basis. So this is my Medford the Deep. I really like this knife. I find that I don't carry it very much, but I had big plans for it when I got it. I do love it. Medford the Deep. Here's another Medford. This was my first Praetorian, my Praetorian T, with this flamed, it's faced and flamed. It's 190 thousandths in thickness, all 3V steel. That's probably my new favorite steel, especially with regard to Medfords, is 3V. So here's my Medford Praetorian T. Next, and in no order, is my Strider .75 AR. This knife I carry, this knife I use, I carry it a lot. In fact, I want to get more of these. They're very hard to find. Anybody who knows, but I'll say it anyway. These are obviously a Strider knife, assembled and built by Medford. So there's a lot of controversy for the Strider purists out there. I happen to not be one of those, but they are very serious about their Striders, and I respect that. I happen to love this knife. A lot of people call it half of one, half of the other. It's a Stretford, if you will. I happen to love it. It's an awesome knife, and it's got the touches of design from Strider and the beauty of manufacturing by Medford. Great knife. Love it. Here is my Chavez 229 Redemption, the Tonto version. This is a badass knife. I love it. It's great in the pocket. What I would call a gentleman's knife, a smaller knife, but it's a lot of knife for its size. This is about an 8.25 inch knife. Extremely sharp, M390. Love it. The Chavez M390, the Chavez 229 Redemption in M390. Then I've got, from my buddy Ryan, my Medford Fighter Flipper. Now this is the Scorched Earth version. I took the knife because it was a really good deal. I'm not nuts about the Scorched Earth. But I'm going to send it in probably to the Legacy program. If you're not aware what that is, that's something where you can send your already existing Medford into the company and they will design it and fix it any way that you see fit. Obviously, you're going to pay for it, but it's a couple $100 and you can kind of reconfigure and redesign your knife to your likings and they'll do it for you. You're going to get a brand new, beautiful Medford back. Not that that's not exactly what this is. This is in S45 VN. It's got the it's a blasted blade. It's not PVD and it's not DLC either. It's like a black wash. I'm not sure what they exactly call it, but it's S45 VN. Obviously the titanium handle, This is a great knife, feels great in hand. I do have pretty big hands, but this is a really great knife. I love it. Thank you, Ryan, for a great deal. Next up, this is a Riot PK something something. I wound up getting it from Riot themselves. They sent it to me to review. I have yet to really do a nice review on it, but a beautiful knife. I love it. It's a PK 107 or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. Here's one of my big dogs. It kind of matches my, this is the Praetorian T. This is my Praetorian tie. This was the first Praetorian tie I've ever handled. Got it on a great deal from Bob Udachak. This is also 3V steel with a Vulcan blade. A tumbled finish on one side, flamed and faced on the other. You can see the thickness of this knife. This is a bad mother effer. One of my all-time favorite knives that I've ever owned, right here, the Medford Praetorian tie. While I'm at it, here is another one of my great good deals from Ryan Gonzalez, who's a good buddy of mine. I got this from him as well. This is the Medford Praetorian Micro, or the Micro Praetorian, if you will. S35 VN. It's a lot of knife in a little tiny scale version of the full-size Praetorian. But this is a great left-hand pocket knife. I really, really like this knife a lot. Moving on, Sniper Blade Works DMF. My buddy Chris had this for a while. We almost made a trade, and then we wound up figuring out something that was more to his liking. But this is a numbered series. What do they call it? Damasteel. It's Damascus. You can see a lot of people think it's machined steps in this blade. It's really just the Damascus showing itself. It's a nice thick knife. I don't carry this knife much either, but I do like it, and I'm glad that I wound up. It keeps coming back to me. I've tried to trade it. I've tried to move it along, and for whatever reason, it keeps coming back to me. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep it. It's a really well-made, wonderful knife. Okay, now starting in my case. Let me just show you quick. Here's the case I'm going to be pulling from, okay? So I apologize for the camera shakes. I'll get it set up again. Okay, so from the bottom left-hand corner, here is the Spartan Harsey, the Longboat edition. I've told the story of this. I've done a little piece. I wound up sending this back for some blade work. It had an S45 VN blade, and they wound up sending it back to me, and I was very pleased. They got back to me within like 2 or 3 days, and I didn't even notice it at first, but after a couple of hours, I wound up just checking out the blade, and I used to say S45, and now it says Magna Cut. So they wound up reblading it or giving me a whole knife. To tell you the truth, I can't even tell, because the knife was in such good condition when I sent it that I couldn't tell whether they gave me a whole new knife or rebladed it. But needless to say, I sent it in for a little fix, and they wound up sending me what I consider to be a brand new knife back. So kudos to Spartan Blades and the Harsey edition. Another one of my favorite. I do carry this. I love it. And I happen to think, and I'm right, in my pocket is the other Spartan Harsey that I have, the non-lasered edition, which I also love it. Got this from Mike West on a trade. I traded him a Hinderer XM18 that I considered to just be too small, and we did a nice, just a trade, fair, even money trade. Just you give me this, I'll give you that, and it was a great trade for me. I hope it was for him too. I'm sure he moved it along. That's what he does. So speaking of Hinderers, here's my first XM24. Got this from Satu Dave. It's got a BGM regrind on it, and this is CPM 20. Yes, CPM 20 CV blade steel, but it's ground down in such a way the action is just different. There's less blade material there, so it's a different type of flick. So my first XM24, I really, really love this knife. Hard to come by. I went to Wildabout Sporting Goods, and I got myself a working finish with the Jade see-through scale, but another XM24. This one is S45 VN, and like I said, it's a different flick. The blade is lighter, so it's got less material, so it's a different feeling. This blade is more of like a clunk when it comes out, and I have all of them on Phosphor Bronze. If you know the brand, it's if you see this little symbol on there, it means Triway. So that means you can set it up in 3 different ways with ball bearings, phosphor bronze, or Teflon washers. I like the phosphor bronze. I set all my hinders up that way. And I guess Medford taught me to love phosphor bronze. In my opinion, it's the most hydraulic, smooth, pleasant action. I like good action on a knife. I like it to be smooth. I think Chris Reeve is a perfect example of what everyone strives for. It's pretty hard to even come close to the action on a. I've never handled Grimsmo, but I'm told that they're very, very good like that too. But my second XM24, just to keep things moving. I mean, I have a lot to go here. My third and most recent XM24, I wound up getting a scale for it, and that's what I'm going to do with the jade handle one too. That's going to be my first full tie. I'm looking for a full tie XM24 scale one of these days. Working bronze finish, excuse me, S45 VN blade. So moving along, great deal from my buddy Chris, Carco Chris. This is the Eagle Rock from Custom Knife Factory. What a knife. He sent this to me to check out, and as soon as I got it in my hands, I said, Chris, I got to have this. And he made me a really, really good deal on this knife. I love it. What is this? This is S90V. It's a long knife. This is a pretty big knife, if you can see. But I love this knife. It's got the zirconium bolsters with the marbled carbon fiber handle scales. And like I said, S90V blade steel. Moving on, the Seal SOG XR, great knife. This is the tumbled version. It's got the axis lock. I don't know what it's called from Seal, but just another great knife. I do carry these. I like it a lot. That's the tumbled version. Here is the PVD version of the Seal SOG XR. Am I right? These SOG Seal XR. I don't know what I said, but another great knife. Getting into another one of my all-time favorites, my Daiware Hyper 90. This knife I got on a trade from Satu Dave. Used to be Scotch and Things, Steve from Scotch and Things. This is one of the ones I'm sure that they are not happy that they let go. This is just such a beauty knife. I really, really love it, and I thank them for it. While I'm at it, just a special thanks to all my, the guys who are special to me. Satu Dave, Steve from Scotch and Things, Scab, Ryan, Carco Chris, Steve Clare is another guy who I've become friendly with, and we've started to trade blades back and forth. Thank you guys. You guys have made my love for knives and the ability to just trade and handle things back and forth such a pleasure. And I just really love knives and talking with you guys about it. I'm really looking forward to seeing some of you in Atlanta. I'm excited about going to Blade Show this year. Excuse me. Oh, wow. Talking a lot can take a lot out of you. This is an M390 blade in the Daiware Hyper 90. I could talk about this for days. Just to keep moving on, a great knife, great action, one of my favorites. I have another Daiware that I got from Dave on another trade. This is a solo. It's a sweet knife. It's not anywhere near as nice as the Hyper 90, but a very nice knife. Some of you are going to like this. Some of you are not going to like it. I love Hoback. Love Hoback knives. This is the Summit. And this is a big knife. Smooth as silk. Love it. I love Hoback. I love his knives. I like the man himself. I think he's a great guy. I've become friendly with him. Okay, we'll do it this way. This is the Quebec from Hoback. Hoback Quebec. This is the MK6, what you'd call the Chinese model. I wound up not carrying it that much, right? It's a beautiful knife. Great action. I believe M390 on this blade, 150 thousandths. Great action, great carry. But when my buddy Carco made me a nice trade, nice deal, the other one that I told him I carry it all the time, it's the truth. The original full tie USA made Quebec, which I put a custom pocket clip on. This is one of my favorite knives. I carry it all the time. It's so wonderful in the pocket. The action is sweet. I really, really love this knife. Another great knife from Carco Chris. So thank you, Chris Robinson. Great, great knife. Thank you. I love it. Moving along. I said I liked Hoback. I wasn't kidding around. Let's do it this way. My first Hoback Husky. This is a bad knife. I love it, love it, love it. It's thick. If you like bruisers, if you like thick, and you can bear the fact that Jake Hoback made a mistake and owned it, he makes great knives, and this is a testament to that. I love this knife. I carry it often. It's one of my favorites. There's not a loose piece on this knife. Hoback Husky. And when I tend to like something, I don't know why it is about me, but I tend to just want more of them. So I got one in gray. And you'll see that when I get to Cold Steel. You'll think there's something wrong with me, which there just very well may be. Hoback Husky, Nitro V blade. Love it. Same dim, same everything. Then I'm like, hey, Jake, I'd love it if you made me a custom Husky. And I wound up getting this. You've all seen it. I talk about it all the time. But this is, I wound up taking the fullers out of the outside of the handle. Again, I just asked Jake to leave it off. Nitro V blade. It's about a 1/4 inch blade, just like the Medfords. Action. That's another thing. I've changed both of the Huskies from ball bearings, to phosphor bronze for the reasons I've already mentioned. I like it. On this knife, it didn't seem to work as well as it does on other knives. So I wound up going back to ball bearings on this knife. And it seems to be the right configuration for this knife. So for that reason, I've went and left ball bearings on this knife. So this is my custom Husky knife. Let's keep on moving. This is my Gerber A6 Auto. Just a pretty cool automatic knife. When I was a kid, I thought automatic knives were the shit. Loved them. I don't know why, but I like the idea of manual. I like being able to take the knife apart, clean it, check it out. You can, but I can't really do that with these knives. There's springs and shit. I just would get lost and be unable to reassemble it, to be quite honest with you. But I do like this. I don't carry it that much. A lot of people don't like the billboarding. Doesn't bother me. I kind of think it looks cool. It also reminds me that it was made in the USA, and it's easy to read, S30V. And it's got a little bit of a safety lock there so you can turn it on and off. And again, the action works pretty good. So a decent knife. I dig it. This knife I really like. The Benchmade Adamas in crew wear. A buttery smooth action. I do carry this sometimes, not enough. When I handle this, I question myself as to why I don't carry it, but Benchmade Adamas, we all know about this. It's got the Axis lock. What a sweet knife. It's like butter. Every method of deployment is just buttery smooth. Great knife. Definite keeper. Here's my other Sniper Blade Works, the Lance LPC, Lance's personal carry. This is a great knife too. I like it. One of my first expensive knives. I think I got this for like $250, and at the time it was like, wow, you're spending $250 on a pocket knife. I've had this for a while. Buttery smooth also. Don't carry it that much. Do love the knife. I definitely love the knife. Let's see what we got here. This is a Rat 1, an Ontario Rat 1 that I modded. I put some brass back spacers in it, carbon fiber scales, and what is it? I think it is an AUS 8 blade that I actually use. I carry this knife. I use it. It's got a good bit of weight. When you put the brass back spacer in it, it turns a Rat 1 into, what I consider to be a kind of hefty, nice, usable, carryable knife. I like it. This is the Spyderco Tenacious that I took and put copper scales on. PVD blade. I think this is one of those blobbity Chinese blades. It was about like a $70 or $80 knife that I put $50 scales on. And it's got good weight to it. and I like it. I've become a fan of Spyderco, not a super fan, but a fan. The higher end Spyderco knives are really, really nice. Case in point, the PM2. I wound up getting the digital camo scales on this knife, and I never carried it. It was so freaking light, it felt like a piece of crap. And then I bought these brass scales, these, I think they're Flytanium aftermarket scales, and it made the knife, it took the knife up 100 levels for me. I love it. I do carry it. It's super duper sharp. This is an S45VN. It's got the release. There's a name for it. I can't think of it, but it's got the release on the back. I really like this knife. Spyderco, I mean, people are crazy about Spyderco, so they're obviously a great manufacturer, a great knife. They have low-end budget models, and they have some higher-end. When you get into the higher ends, you can really see that they're nice, well-made knives. This is my one and only Chris Reeve knife. This is a large Inkosi, and there's nothing large about it in my opinion, but when you handle it, you can see that Chris Reeve knows what he's doing. This is a beautiful, super duper sharp knife. I happen to love it. I just wish they would make a bruiser version. People have said the, what's it called? It's a weird name. It'll come to me, forgive me. The Zahn, I can't think of it, but it's got a Zahn in it. That's what Dave calls it. I can't think, Zumenzahn? I can't think of it, fuck it. But love it. Chris Reeve makes a really nice knife. I'll go from left to right just to get back to it. This is a Artisan Blades Mega Falcon, just a relatively cheap Wharncliffe blade, sub $100 knife, but I happen to like it. Best Tech, Rock Face. The action on this is surprisingly awesome. I do carry this and use it from time to time when I'm handling or doing something that I don't care if I screw the knife up, because I can easily replace this. So that's the truth. Here is my Manix XL, my Manix 2 XL. And again, I said when you spend, above $200 on Spyderco, you're going to get a nice knife. This is one of them. However, I hate the scales on it. I'm waiting for Manix 2 XL copper or brass scales to become available. And as soon as I can get that, I'm going to switch and put those scales, and then I'll have another knife that I will carry and use. Okay. Quick drink break. Okay. Now these three knives are, when I've got to remember to get my half-breed. Got to show you my half-breeds. In fact, let me get it so I don't forget. Forgive me for stepping out of screen, folks. But these are a must. Oh, these are a must. I mentioned the word half-breed. The half-breed large bush folder, okay? Here's the half-breed large bush folder. This is a massive knife. Action is like butter. S35VN, just a huge knife. Fits the hand really good. Great choke up points. Beautiful. Like, there's nothing I don't like about this blade. It's 1/4 inch S35VN. It's got a steel liner on it with titanium scales. And the worst thing and the biggest complaint about this knife is the weight. This is like 17 ounces. It's a pound plus each knife. But I got these directly from Australia. They're Australian made, and I think they're assembled in the US. I'm not sure where they're assembled, but either the parts are made in the US, they're assembled in China, and Australian origins. But here is the Ranger Green version of the large bush folder. And last and definitely not least is the one that's probably the only one that's still available of these, which is why I'm psyched that I got all three of them, the large bush folder in black. Okay, so forgive me, I'm just gonna plop them down on the floor to be recovered later. Now, I mentioned they have a smaller sister company called Australian Hardcore. I'm just gonna look. In S30V, Hardcore Hardware, excuse me, I couldn't think of it. But here is the drop point in Hardcore Hardware. You've seen these knives before. If you've ever shopped for a knife in a catalog, these are like 0.2, 200 thousandths S30V handles, and they all have the same handle. It's like a gunner grip, and there are 4 versions. I have one that I don't have. That was the drop point. This, I believe, is the recurve. And I have the Tonto as well, which I'll be happy to show you. Same knife, just different blades. And this is the Tonto. I love every one of them. I do carry each one of them. This is an Essie, very, very thin carry. I carry this never, but I don't know why, but I like it. It's called the Avispa, which means wasp in Spanish. It's just a knife that I dig. I like it. I don't carry it. It's super duper sharp. It's very thin, very slicey. I like it. The Wasp. Here is my other Chavez Redemption 229. Only this is the drop point. Oh no, this is, how did that happen? Did I describe it wrong? No, this is the drop point. I don't know why it looked like the Tonto. Forgive me. This is the drop point. The Tonto has got a much more aggressive blade on it. But I love these knives. I had a third one that I wound up trading away. But these are both full tie versions. The other one I traded was it had a G10 scale on it. Great, great knives. Okay. I don't even know. I think I'm going to do part 1, part 2, because I'm getting up there right now. So let me stop right there. I'll come back with a part 2. Probably not today, but I'll start on the rest of my Medfords and my Cold Steel, and that should bring us through. We're up to 26 minutes. I'm sure nobody's still watching, but I'm going to call it right there. Thank you guys so much if you're still here. God bless the U.S. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in Atlanta. Thanks, man.